I waited on your words like summer rain, checking every message just in case. You said you needed time to think it through, but time just pulled you further out of view. I tried to read between the lines you wrote, but all I found were things you never spoke. I held on to a hope you didn't share while you were disappearing into air. Every second felt like years, drowning in my doubts and fears. Your silence was the answer all along, even when I tried to prove it wrong. No goodbye, no right, no wrong, just an ending without a song. I was screaming into empty air, thinking maybe you still cared, but the truth I couldn't capture was your silence was the answer. You left me in a space with no reply, 1,000 questions hanging in my mind. I replay every moment we went through, searching for a sign I never knew. Was it something that I said or did? Or were you always just a closing lid? I guess some stories fade without a sound, just lost and never meant to be found. I kept waiting for your voice, but you already made your choice. Your silence was the answer all along, even when I tried to prove it wrong. No goodbye, no right, no wrong, just an ending without a song. I was screaming into empty air, thinking maybe you still cared, but the truth I couldn't capture was your silence was the answer. Now I see it crystal clear. You were gone before you disappeared, and every word you never said still echoes louder in my head. But I'm learning to let it be. What you never gave to me. Your silence was the answer in disguise, hidden in between your alibis. No more waiting, no more tries. I can see through all your lies. I was holding on to nothing there. Now I know it wasn't fair, and the truth I finally gathered was your silence was the answer. No words left for me to hear. Your silence said it clear. I'm written for two. We never made it past the maybe, never crossed that fragile line. I was calling it a future, you were passing time. Every glance felt like a promise, every word I held on to, but the pages kept on turning, never written for two. felt for me. This love was unwritten for two. I was writing me and you in a story you never knew. Every dream I thought was true was just something I held on to, but the ink was never yours. Now I'm closing all the doors to a love unwritten for two. I'm done chasing after you. Every page is something new, and this time I'll see it through. I won't write a love alone. Now I'll build it on my own. Now I know what I must do. I won't be unwritten for two. I was writing every chapter like you'd always stay with me, drawing hearts around your name in a future I could see. You were just a passing moment, like a shadow in the light. I was holding on to something that was never really mine. Every word you never said still echoes in my head. Guess it was only me in the story, only me chasing all of your glory. You were a page I couldn't rewrite, fading away in the middle of the night. I gave you everything, you gave me nothing. Still I believed it was turning to something. Now I can see what I couldn't before me. It was only me in the story. You would smile like it mattered, but your heart was far from here. I was drowning in your silence, trying hard to make it clear. Every second felt like forever, every hope I held so tight, but forever never came. It just vanished out of sight. I was lost inside a dream that was never what it seemed. Guess it was only me in the story, only me chasing all of your glory. You were a page I couldn't rewrite, fading away in the middle of the night. I gave you everything, you gave me nothing. Still I believed it was turning to something. Now I can see what I couldn't before me. It was only me in this story. with me. Yeah, it was only me in the story. No more chasing your empty glory. Turning the page, I'm letting it go. Writing the life that I'll finally own. I gave you everything, now I take it back. No more living in the love we lacked. Now I'm stronger than I used to be. It's no longer just me in this story. I close the book on you tonight and finally start to rewrite. No more staring at my phone. I'm finally letting go. 3 dots dancing on my screen, like you were typing something real. I held my breath, I didn't blink, waiting for the way you feel. But the bubbles disappeared again, just like you always do. I guess silence is your language when it comes to something true. Every message I sent was a heart you never meant, left unread forever, like I never mattered. Every word I gave you just fell and shattered. You saw my heart, didn't say a word. Now I'm stuck in the quiet, unheard. Thought we were something better. Now I'm left unread forever. Scroll back through old conversations, looking for a different sign. Where did all the warmth go? Or was it never really mine? Every hate feels like a question. Every high just fades away. I was hoping you'd come closer, but you drifted every day. I kept trying to hold on, but you were already gone, left unread forever, like I never mattered. Every word I gave you just fell and shattered. You saw my heart, didn't say a word. Now I'm stuck in the quiet, unheard. Thought we were something better. Now I'm left unread forever. Maybe I was just a name on your late night screen, something easy to ignore, something in between. Now I see it clear as day, even if it hurts to say you were never really there. You just faded into air, left unread forever. But I'm done waiting, no more over like they meant more than they did. You were speaking like you cared, but your heart was never there. I was steady like the ocean. You were waves that couldn't stay. I was building something lasting. You were drifting far away. I kept trying to believe in something you could never be. I stayed. You drifted away. I held on, you couldn't stay. Every promise turned to gray, fading further every day. I was right there in your arms, but you were already gone. Now I see it clear as day. I stayed, you drifted away. You drifted away. We were standing in the same place, but 1,000 miles apart. I was giving you my whole world. You were guarding half your heart. Every moment felt so fragile, like it could just slip away. And before I even noticed, you were gone without a trace. I kept reaching out for you, but you were slipping out of view. I stayed. You drifted away. I held on, you couldn't stay. Every promise turned to gray, fading further every day. I was right there in your arms, but you were already gone. Now I see it clear as day. I stayed, you drifted away. Was I loving you too much, or were you just never enough? Did I build this on my own while you were halfway gone? Now the truth is hard to face. I was losing from the start, trying to hold on to someone who was never in my heart. I stayed. You drifted away, but I'm stronger here today. No more begging you to stay. No more games I have to play. I was right there in your arms. Now I'm healing from the scars, and I finally found my way. 'Cause you drifted far away. I stayed, but now I'm gone, moving on where I belong. But I loved you alone. I remember how it started, with a look you didn't see. I was writing us a story. You were just being free. Every word I never told you, every dream I kept inside. I was building something real while you let it pass by. I kept waiting for a sign, but your heart was never mine. I loved you alone in the quiet of my mind, held on to a feeling you would never find. Every what if turned to never gonna be. It I loved you alone in the quiet of my mind. Held on to a feeling you would never find. Every what if turned to never gonna be. It was only ever me. I loved you alone through the highs and all the pain. Dancing in the sunshine, crying in the rain. You were just a name I couldn't outgrow. But I loved you alone. Maybe someday I'll forget all the words I never said, all the nights I stayed awake for a love you couldn't take. Now I'm learning to let go of a heart you'll never know. I loved you alone, now I'm finally letting go of the shadow of a love you didn't show. Every broken piece is finding its way home. I'm no longer on my own. I loved you alone, but I'm stronger than before. Close the chapter, I won't read it anymore. You were just a lesson I had to outgrow. 'Cause I loved you alone. Gave me half a heart goodbye. You held my hand like you meant it, but your eyes were somewhere else. I kept every little moment while you were losing yourself. We were standing on the same road, but walking different lines. I was yours in every heartbeat. You were never really mine. I felt it in the silence, in every late reply. You gave me half a heart goodbye, left me hanging on a line. Said forever, didn't try. Now I'm breaking every night. I was all and you were halfway gone, singing love in a broken song. Now I see it clear as the sky. You gave me half a heart goodbye. You said my name like a promise, but it faded in the air. I was building us a future. You were never really there. All the plans we used to talk about, now they're ghosts inside my head. Every maybe we could work this out, turn to words we never said. I kept holding on to pieces while you let them fall apart. You gave me half a heart goodbye, left me hanging on a line. Said forever, didn't try. Now I'm breaking every night. I was all and you were halfway gone, singing love in a broken song. Now I see it clear as the sky. You gave me half know something almost real, close enough to make me feel like maybe we could be more than this. Just one step from a first kiss. Every moment held my breath, like we were dancing on the edge of a story waiting to unfold. But you never let it show. I was ready for the spark, but you were standing in the dark. It was a love that never started, a flame that never found a spark. I gave you all the light I had, you still left me in the dark. We were standing at the doorway, but you never walked inside. Now I'm left with what we almost had, and a million reasons why. You were looking at me like maybe there was something in your eyes, but every time I moved closer, you would turn away and hide. I was building up a feeling, you were tearing it apart without ever saying anything. You were breaking my heart. Every silence said enough, even without giving up. It was a love that never started, a flame that never found a spark. I gave you all the light I had, you still left me in the dark. We were standing at the doorway, but you never walked inside. Now I'm left with what we almost had, and a million reasons why. Maybe we were just a what if, a question with no end, a moment lost between the lines we never got to pen. Now I see it for what it was, not a love, just a dream, something beautiful and painful that was never meant to be. It was a love that never started. Now I'm finally moving on. No more waiting at the doorway for a feeling that is gone. I won't chase up what could be, or hold on to the past, 'cause a love that never started is never meant to last. Just an echo of a spark, fading slowly in the dark.